Here we are. We're rolling with Cooper Mays on the Vol Report with Cooper, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Integrity matters. And Cooper rocking a new joint. Look at him. He is quite the man living in his new pad. And Cooper, I know that we talked about, I think it was on the podcast or might have been right before, but you came home from the Orange Bowl because of frozen pipes. You had flooding everywhere. So this has been quite the experience for you. How are you feeling in the new place?
Very, very relieved. Definitely, definitely made me grow up a little bit. You don't really just kind of growing up as a man, getting stuff done. It's not fun when the big thing was like I came back from Miami, and that's kind of our 3 week break for like we get a break during January and then a break during May, and then so you don't get much time off during the year, and to have your apartment be messed up during that. That was kind of a real gut punch. But, we made it through it. We're thriving and surviving.
Thriving and surviving. Here we go. So, a couple of things I want to get to on the show today, and I want to ask you about rivals and what they mean, because now Texas and Oklahoma will come in 2024. We thought maybe it would be 2025, but they're going to come in. So I'm curious as to what rivals you deem are important, because they're going to switch up the entire schedule, we think. But first, I want to look back at the Super Bowl. So there was one call, and it was a defensive hold. And I'm just curious, as a player, are there times where you've committed a foul, a penalty, and you're just hoping that the ref didn't see it? How often does that happen during a game or during a year?
Yeah, I would say, personally, I would say like probably 10 to 15% of the game, and then. But as a whole, like, I'd say every play there's probably something going on that shouldn't be going on, but that doesn't get caught. As an O lineman, it's kind of like an art form. It's kind of a craft. Like, holding is a penalty, but like you're probably a better offensive lineman if you're good at holding, if that makes sense. Like the art of holding without getting caught is a very important skill. So you just got to be really discreet about it.
No, that's a good point. So you say 10 to 15% of the time, but one of the things that came up about that Super Bowl is the call was late in the game. Should the officials let it go because it's late in the game? What are your thoughts on that? Should a call in the first quarter be the same in the fourth?
I think so. I mean, I understand the argument per se, but personally, I mean, I think you should call the game the same way every single time. If you think it's a foul, then go ahead and throw the flag. But yeah, I guess it. I don't know, man. If personally me, I saw the play in the Super Bowl. I thought it was a hold. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people thought that it wasn't, a warranted call. But if you're looking at the definition, like he definitely hindered his break and his release. So, I mean, if you're looking at the definition, it was a hold. But I mean, I understand what people's argument is. I guess I don't know.
I thought it was a hold. I was just disappointed that the night ended like that. I guess it's kind of like a good date and then doesn't end the right way.
Yeah, definitely wasn't an ideal. No, nobody wants the refs to decide the game for sure. But I mean, if you make a ref, I mean, if you don't want it to end that way, then don't grab onto him. I guess would be the best argument, or for the DB. But I can't really even say that because the DB did I don't own up to it. I guess per se, it wasn't like anything terrible, but he did say he held him, so you can't even really fault the guy. He owned up to his responsibilities.
You talk about the art of holding. I could talk offensive line play with you all day. So I'm curious. Is it having your hands inside? Is it what are some of the tricks of the trade and the art of manipulating someone without drawing a penalty?
The one of my favorite things to do, which is like a lot of times where I hold, is if y'all I don't. It's hard. I don't want to get too nerdy with it, but like gap scheme plays. Do you know what gap schemes are?
I do, yes.
Like so, the center essentially for the simplified version of it, for me explaining it, the way I can explain it is the center back blocks every time. So like I if there's a D tackle right here, I'm walling him off and can't let him get over top to make the play back here. So If the guy reads it really well and just beats me over top, what you can do is I like to slide. Like if he beats me over this way and is getting around my shoulder, I like as I'm getting beat, I'll pull with the hand that I have grabbed onto him, and I'll pull him, and it'll turn his shoulders. That way, he can't make it back to the play. It's hard to explain on the podcast, obviously, but
No, that makes sense. So is that one that you're able to get away with most of the time?
yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, and the way I do it, it's like it's just gotta be really, really discreet. Everything you're doing, it can't be. A lot of people do the hold and then they'll put their hands up. Like I can't. No, don't call me for holding. Like they trying to say that you can't do that. Like you got to do it really discreet. Like if you get beat, you can get beat, but on the way getting beat, maybe throw a hold in there. Maybe just the extra little grab of the claw. And you still get beat, but the guy doesn't make the tackle because he's maybe a half yard away. And you look back on it, and that guy, sure enough, would have probably made the play if you didn't have the holding. And he'll probably be upset about it. He'll be really upset, and he'll be like, "Ref, I was getting held," and the ref's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't see it." And then you've already got him out of his game in two ways.
That's true. How does a hold compare to giving up a sack and getting your guy hit? I'd much rather give up a hold, but I don't want to get called for a penalty either way. I mean, I don't want to give up a negative play.
Right. Well, I would rather take the hold. You know what I'm saying? A sack is going to be a loss of 7, 8, maybe. It's going to get your quarterback, not hurt, but it's definitely not going to be good for his confidence or anything else. Hold is minus, what is it, 10? 5.
10.
There we go. Okay, 10. I'll take the 2 yards extra. So obviously I don't even think about the yardage. So obviously I don't even think about it. I just do it. So
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody holds on purpose. It's just kind of you're doing your best to protect your guy, right?
no, you definitely hold on purpose. Smart. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I mean, when I'm holding it, I definitely hold on purpose. But I just do it in a way that I know I won't get caught. Like when I hold, I don't even worry about like throwing my hands up or like looking back at the ref to see if it got caught. Like I don't even worry about it. I just keep running. Like I just am confident in my abilities.
Yeah, you're cruising on. You're good. So what else?
There's no reason don't give them an excuse to actually throw the flag. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. I want to ask you about one of your good buddies that brings home a Super Bowl ring. Want to remind everybody that this podcast, the Ball Report with Cooper, is brought to you by our friends at City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. It's coming up upon the time we're going to get some warm weather, and some of your HVAC units are going to just conk out. I can tell you that's going to happen. I can also tell you that sometimes you don't need a whole nother unit. You just need a part or just a little adjustment. Well, you know that you'll get the right assessment with City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Over 50 years of experience right there in Knoxville. Integrity matters. What about your guy, Trey Smith, bringing home a championship? That's pretty cool. Love the picture of him sitting among the confetti, just taken aback. I know that's who you're rooting for. What was that like to see him bring home a championship ring?
Super excited and proud for him, obviously. I've talked about it on here before that, me and him I know we're obviously not brothers, but, I kind of feel like his little brother and he thinks of me like his little brother. So just super proud of him. Just can't even really explain it. It's awesome to see kind of where he's taken everything and, all he's accomplished in just 2 short years of playing in the league and just super excited to see how he does in the future. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the cool part is, I mean, just on a personal, real life level, the guy wasn't drafted as high because of the blood clot issue, and so he hasn't made a ton of cash. I mean, probably guys making more in NIL, but he's about to get paid, which I'm glad to see personally.
Yeah, big paid. I don't know how much, but he's gonna be, his kids are gonna be probably pretty set up a little bit. As long as he doesn't have too much. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many kids he plans on having. I can't say that just yet. But I definitely could see, 3 or 4 kids living very lavishly.
Hey, I love talking to you about this because you've got ties to the Tennessee program with your dad. You grew up in the area. So from a traditional standpoint, that being somebody that's in their early 20s, because it's not a long history. But from a tradition standpoint, what do you think is the most prominent rival right now for Tennessee? Because Tennessee is one of the schools that has seems like 50 rivals. But is there one that stands out in particular, or a couple for you?
I would say, I mean, obviously Alabama, Georgia, and Florida are always going to be really big time games. I mean, I feel like rivals are so skewed in today's world, or of world of college football, at least. I mean, things just don't. I mean, I don't want to say it without with it meaning to me. Like, it obviously, Tennessee means a lot to me, but my case of college football has been so different from so many. Like, I'm from a local place. My family members have played here, like a lot of my family members, and not a lot of people have that tie and sense of pride about their university. So I can speak only from my point of view, but I'm sure a lot of kids could probably care less about rivalry games for the most part.
Yeah, you mentioned the three: Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. There's pretty good chance that one of those would come off the permanent annual schedule. Would that be disappointing, you think, as one day a Tennessee fan, which you will be in 2, 3, 4 years from now?
Definitely disappointing. You got to find some ways to play them sometimes, but maybe yearly is not the worst alternative. I could probably argue from a lot of last year that you can't say it from the South Carolina point of view, because that loss put us out of everything. But if we wouldn't have had Georgia in there, then think about we would have been a one-loss team. That I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it stacks up. I obviously didn't pay that much attention to the playoffs, but we played a very rigorous schedule. LSU, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Bama, Clemson. I mean, those are not just walks in the park. You know what I'm saying? These are very competitive games, and that takes a toll on you throughout the season.
Tell me if this is a reach, but when you play that type of schedule, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, if you can think forward to the college football playoff, I mean, even though that's a tough schedule and you might have a loss or two in there, how prepared and battle tested does that get you for postseason play?
Definitely made a world of difference in our eyes. We had a lot of confidence in our team. I mean, we had a lot of very, very highly sought upon wins and victories throughout the season. I mean, going down to LSU and winning, huge deal. Even bigger deal looking back on it. I think seeing how their rankings ended up. I mean, they were in the SEC championship, and we went down there and beat them, beat the brakes off of them at home. And had a big victories. Alabama went down to the wire, Pitt went down to the wire, Florida went down to the wire. I mean, you just have so many games where you have experiences that lead you to be, winners and men of character and a team of character. So it definitely helped us. I think y'all saw how we played in the bowl game. It was a high quality win.
When you play Alabama, Florida, Georgia, just in name alone, there's no team that you could face in a college football playoff or a bowl game that scares you, I wouldn't think, right?
Yeah, no. I'm like I said, I can only speak for myself, but I don't think anybody was scared of, Clemson or anybody else that we played. I think we went in there with the attitude that we expected to win, and I think that kind of showed throughout the whole season.
I haven't asked you, what do you think of the college football playoff and the potential for playing more games? I mean, you're a guy who's dealt with injury. It's turning into a long season quick.
Yeah, it is turning into a long season. I mean, I think it is hard to make everything right on every angle, though. So I can understand with expanding the playoff, but it is a long season. But there is NIL, so players are, they are getting compensation for their play, not for their play, but
right.
We're
doing the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Yeah, that's what you're getting compensated for, right?
That's right. I mean, it's just you know
Yeah,
using your NIL. Your
yeah.
NIL. That's all.
Integrity matters. There we go. So it's not for play. It's not that at all. But you guys have deserved it for a long time. But potentially adding a couple more games to the season, do you think it will have an effect on you, or is that something that you just kind of have to wait and see?
Yeah, it would have an effect on the players that are playing for sure. I don't know if they'll do it in my time in college, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of guys that will either A, benefit or B, not benefit from it, depending on their, where they stand in injury wise and stuff. But I'm sure there's a lot of guys that will benefit from having an extra week to show scouts and stuff what they're about, especially in the playoffs, because that's a lot of high quality games. You know what I'm saying? So
That's a good
there's going
point.
to be a lot of good players in that.
Hey, I forgot to ask you. Did you talk to Trey after the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah, we played. We've been playing the game ever since he got home.
Oh yeah. So Coop's a big gamer. So what did he tell you about the Super Bowl? About the experience?
Yeah, he won't. He won't let me call any. He won't let me call him Trey. He won't respond to anything. He only let you call him Big Bowler. Like the Super Bowl or Big Champ, Big Bowler. Um, those are the only names he'll respond to. So that's that. I mean, I'm sure he seemed like he did, like he enjoyed it, but he keeps on telling me I can talk to him when I'm a Super Bowl champion and all that. And I'm like, well, you can talk to me when you beat Bama. So that's that.
It's fantastic.
It'll be some years.
I love it. So do you have a nickname? I mean, after the Orange Bowl, are you identifying as somebody else?
No, I'm Camp's big brother.
Gibbs, big brother, your little brother,
That's
who is
that's
who is already a monster of a young man
yeah.
at 13, and no Captain Miami or anything like that at this point.
Yeah, he's different, man. He's huge. He's like 5 foot tall. He's 7. So
Bizarre. Yeah, we're gonna have something on him on Off the Hook Sports. A conversation with Cooper Mays, the Vol Report with Coop, brought to you by City Heat and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Integrity matters. 50 years in Knoxville. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.